Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone from Indonesia. Hopefully, all of you are in good condition and happy situation. Welcome to International Guest Lecture, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable, our guest lecturer, Dr. Muhammad Shukri Hanapi from Malaysia. Honorable, our guest lecturer, Dr. Yogi Simhanan from Nepal. And all participants who already attend in this event. First of all, let's pray our best on personal belief. Pray, begin. Okay, Ines. This event will be divided in three main sections. The first is international guest lecture presentation and discussion by Dr. Yogi Simhanan. Dr. Yogi Simhanan is International Ambassador of Peneleh from Nepal, which will be moderated by the candidate Dr. Anak Agung Gede Satya Utama. The second is presentation of selected paper. And the last is international guest lecture presentation and discussion by Dr. Shukri Hanafi from Malaysia. Dr. Shukri Hanafi is International Ambassador of Peneleh, which will be moderated by Dr. Virginia Nur Rahmanti. International guest lecture is routine activities that conducted by Peneleh Research Institute. And also, we are collaborating with Bani Hasim Foundation, Circles, and also World Youth Association. Our last international guest lecture was held on July 25 this year. And we have invited Professor Zimmerman from United States. To manage our time, now I would like to invite Chief of Circle, Mr. Dimas Anugrah, to give first opening speech. Mr. Dimas Anugrah, time is yours.
Well, thank you, Anang. Good morning. I hope that you are well and find joy in any circumstance you are in today. A warm greeting and shalom to our guest lecturers and to researchers, organizers, and all participants. My name is Dimas Anugrah. I am the director of Circles Indonesia. Circles Indonesia is a community of learners in the field of philosophy, culture, and science. It is based in Indonesia and founded during the pandemic in August 2020. Thanks to the connectivity we have today, our members are located all over the globe, maybe mostly Indonesian speaking. Well, honestly, I don't feel worthy to speak at this event and on a very important and prestigious meeting and in front of great people like you. When Dr. Ari Kamayanti, director of Peneleh Research Institute and the chief editor of International Journal of Religious and Cultural Studies, who is also one of my best friends, invited me to give the opening speech in this event. I thought it was such an honor. I got sleepless these past few nights just to think about what to say in this event this morning. Research and action in religious spiritual dimensions. But nevertheless, it is an honor to be here. Dear researchers, these days, research has become a necessity. Almost all fields require research, starting from business, health, social services, to theology, religion, politics, and many others. In particular, obviously, in higher education. Basically, no matter what type of research we do, theoretical or applied, the goal is but one: solving problem. From what I can understand of this research community is that we are invited to realize the importance of research that cannot be separated from religious understanding. And I can't disagree with the organizer. Not only that research is inseparable from religiosity, research is also inseparable from spirituality. Spirituality is our guide to life, which directs one's behavior, be virtuous according to the divine will. In the spirituality tradition that I believe, Christianity, John Calvin once said, the whole world is a theater for the display of the divine goodness, wisdom, and power. But the church is the orchestra, as it were, the most conspicuous part of it. And so in the context of research, if the whole world is a theater for the display of the divine goodness, wisdom, justice, and power, then researchers are also responsible for finding the results of their research that lead humans to glorify the Creator. Thus, the efforts and research results should also show divine goodness, wisdom, justice, and power. Believing and admiring God is not contradictory to the truth of science obtained from research. In the Christian tradition, we know all truth is God's truth. It's an expression that is probably the most familiar and a famous quote from St. Augustine in 5th century. Those 5 words express confidence in God. Truth, the Bible, science, the ultimate alignment of all inquiry, and discovery. Those 5 words assume that research, the science from the laboratory, and the exegesis from the scriptures will not contradict one another once we have rightly figured them out. John Calvin is in his commentary on Titus chapter 1, verse 12, for example, he states, all truth is from God, and consequently, if wicked men have said anything that is true and just, we ought not to reject it, for it has come from God. Calvin expands on this idea in his Institute of Christian Religion. But in our 21st century, there is a challenge to Augustine, Calvin, even modern research and biblical Christianity. It is an expansive tolerance of conflicting truths claims. It is the your truth is your truth philosophy. rather than all truth being God's truth or even science truth. The call to respect others has become a tolerance of the biblical and unbiblical, the scientific and unscientific, the logical and the illogical, the sacred and the profane, the moral and the immoral at all the same time. It is often not so simple in our everyday life, however. Research must be carried out in the spirit that its finding must be useful for science and humanity. For me, research, like religion, should be dedicated to humanity. Research is not just for personal glory, titles, or commerciality. Research is a way to make life better. Research is a way to solve problems. Research is for humanity. For that, I support this event. I pray that this event will encourage us to do research with the aim of glorifying the divine. As the scripture says, whatever you do, do your work heartily, as for the Lord and not for the people. Thank you and God bless.
Okay, thank you for your opening speech. Okay, thank you for your opening speech, Mr. Dimas Anugraha.
Welcome.
Okay, directly for the second opening speech, now I would like to invite the chief in International Journal of Religious Cultural Studies, Miss Ari Kamayanti. Time is yours.
Thank you so much, Ananggari. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning all. Salawat and salam will always be recited for the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and may all that we think and do be reflections of his path for a better civilization. I am Ari Kamayanti as Chief in-Editor of International Journal of Religious and Cultural Studies. Welcome you to this event. International Journal of Religious and Cultural Studies, or IJRAX, aims to accommodate scientific writing of philosophical thought and empirical studies covering two main fields, religion and culture, as well as other fields including law, business, education, economics, health, politics, technology, history, agriculture, environment, planology, cosmology, quantum physics, amongst other social and also natural sciences. IJRAX highly appreciates cross-sectoral or multidisciplinary thinking that can trigger the birth of innovation to change both social and cultural fields and leads to a better civilization. We believe religions, and as a consequence, of course, religious spirituality, are the utmost basis of science. Only then that we can produce a harmonious civilization, since I believe, as also Mr. Dimas Anugrah earlier stated, there is no religion that teaches hatred or injustice. IJRAX is internationally indexed at Bielefeld Academic Search Engine, or BASE in Germany, Dimensions in the US, and also nationally indexed in Garuda. And since 2022, IJRAX is nationally accredited with Sinta 4. And we are continuing our efforts to elevate the journal's quality, and we are pursuing a direct open access journal, or DOAJ, indexing this year. And today is the first event where selected papers to be published have the opportunity to be presented and gain substantial reviews and comments from participants to help improve the quality of the paper. Up to this date, IGRAX have received papers from Nepal, India, Malaysia, South Korea, and of course, Indonesia. As we speak, IGRAX has published press articles for volume 4, number 2, which you can see in ijrax.rumahpeneleh.or.id, and it will be published full papers in this October 2022. And we welcome papers for the next issues. And last but not least, on the behalf of Peneleh Research Institute, I thank honorable speakers, Dr. Yogi Sihamnat from Nepal, and also Dr. Muhammad Sukrihanapi from Malaysia, the moderators, candidate Dr. Gede Satya and Dr. Virginia Nurrahmanti. I also thank SMA Bani Hashim, Circles Indonesia, and World Youth Association. And of course, I thank all the committee for this beautiful collaboration so today's event can be held. Finally, have a great international lecture in this glorious Sunday. Billahi fi sabilil haq. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Ms. Arika Mayanti, for your second opening speech. Now, time to take a photo together, guys. And please show your the best smile, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna to say 1, 2, 3, cheese. Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Keep spirit again to follow this event. Directly now, we are going to the main event, presentation and discussion section with our guest lecturer, Dr. Yogi Simhanant from Nepal, will be moderator by the candidate doctor, Mr. Anak Agung Gede Satya Utama. But before that, let me read curriculum vitae by Mr. Anak Agung Gede Satya Utama. Okay. The candidate doctor, Anak Agung Gede Satya Utama, venial legendi qualification to teach, qualified professional accounting educator, awarded by the Indonesian Ministry of Education and Culture. Further qualification, chartered accountant, publication improving multi-sport event ticketing accounting information system designed through implementing RFID and blockchain technologies within COVID-19 health protocol, published October 2021 in Helion. Accounting Executive Narcissism, a review and research agenda using content analysis, published September 2020 in Humanities and Social Sciences Reviews, Electronic Village, Financial System Implementation in Banyuwangi, Ready or Not, published 2020 in International Journal of Innovation creativity, and change. The social media intention to construct beliefs in accounting students' career choice. What is the value? Published 2020 in Talent Development and Excellence. That's curriculum vitae by the candidate Dr. Agung Gede Satya Utama. Agung Gede Satya Utama, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Very good morning to Ibu Arika Mayanti, our honorable guest speaker, Mr. Yogi, and Mr. Sukri, and all presenters, participants for international guest lectures, research in action in religion, spiritual dimensions. Today, I'm Agung from Universitas Airlangga and also from Research Penala Institute. Today, I'm moderator for our first speaker, Dr. Yogi Simhanand. Hello, Dr. Yogi. How are you today?
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm fine. Thank you. Selamat pagi. Namaste.
Yeah, selamat pagi. Namaste. Okay, before we start the presentation for Mr. Yogi, I would like to inform you the curriculum vitae of Mr. Yogi. Okay, Yogi Simhanand, PhD, earned education in Bachelor of Art, Tribhuvan University, Kathmandu, Nepal in 1988, earned Master of Art also in the same university in Nepal, 1991, and PhD, Tribhuvan University in Kathmandu, Nepal on June 2003 with the dissertation title National Security of Nepal 1990 to 2000, a study of concept, vulnerabilities, and threats. Some of training participation and the presentation from 2015 to 2019, he presented publications, Nepal, the consequences and implication of the rise of religion, nationalism of peace, building at the Second International Conference on Religion and Culture in Conflict and Peace, Reconciliation and Peace Building in South Asia in March in Nepal. And also in 2019, he paper presented in Spiritual Beyond Repertoire, the Sacred Teachings of Eastern Philosophy at the 7th International Conference on Spiritually Beyond Repertoire, a leadership key to societal happiness and sustained harmony in February 2019 in School of Management Science, Finance. And in 2015, visited International Institute for Safety and Security Management in New Delhi, India, and visit aimed to study on the safety and security of high-rise building and shopping malls in New Delhi. That's the curriculum vitae from Yogi Simhanand. Mr. Yogi, you have around 2 hours, for the first session today. Maybe after you finish your presentations, the participant will ask in the Q&A sessions. For the participant, you can chat in the chat box, you type the questions, or you can raise your hands. So after Mr. Yogi finish the presentation, I will recap the question and will refer in the Q&A sessions. Okay, without further ado, please welcome Mr. Yogi Simhanand with the presentation about spiritual dimension in research and actions. Time is yours, Mr. Yogi. Thank you.
Hello, have you put the slides? Could you kindly put the slides? Or
Not yet, Mr. Yogi. Okay, now it's visible.
Good morning, everyone. Selamat pagi. Namaste from Kathmandu, Nepal. It is monsoon season here. It is raining outside, and last night it was raining throughout the night. And once again, I am very much glad to have this opportunity for the presentation. Actually, in the last October, due to the expiry of my father, I could not take part in the program, unfortunately. Today, I'm going to present about spiritual dimension in research. Before starting my presentation, I would like to open it with a quotation of Acharya Tulsi, great spiritual saint of India. Individual desire and ego are perennial human traits. Whenever they have been conjoined with power, there has been a general increase in war hysteria, leading to the repetition of bloody and violent events in history. The reason why moral values have been held in the highest esteem is that they transform this evil combination of desire, ego, and power into courteous humility. Next slide, please. This presentation I have outlined in 7 subtopics. The first, I have defined spirituality. First, I have put 3 definitions. The first definition is spirituality involves exploring certain universal themes: love, compassion, altruism, life after death, wisdom, and truth. The second is the quality of being concerned with the human spirit or soul as composed to material or physical things. The shift of priorities allows us to embrace our spirituality in a more profound way. The last is spiritual research simply means research of spiritual dimension and its effect on us. Yes. Yeah. No, next, please. Yes. And also research also I have defined 3 dimensions, 3 definitions. The first on research is the systematic investigation into and study of materials and resources in order to establish facts and research and reach new conclusions. The second definition is research is defined as careful consideration of study regarding a particular concern or problem using scientific methods. And the third is research is a systematic inquiry to describe, explain, predict, and control observed phenomenon. It involves inductive and deductive methods. Next, please. Also, I have added what intuition means in the process of spiritual thinking or spiritual education or spiritual practice. Intuition is loosely defined and loosely studied in many parts of the world, except few research, epistemological research in the West. Intuition is a natural and necessary part of the mind's life. We can take examples from our seniors and parents, grandparents, that before any unforeseen situation, they used to think, and their intuition would forecast or foretell something, what is going to happen. So intuition, as mind's life, it does not require to have good intuition. You don't require to be an educated person, because our ancestors and grandparents used to foretell the things. So intuition is very important in exercising the mind, and the level and the capability to have intuition and to foretell something, in some way it is related with predestined astrology and also part of spiritual thinking. Similarly, spirituality is human experience which is inadequately described or explained, and some is inexplicable, that is a justified belief in an ultimate reality. The next is the use of intuition. What knowledge is generally taken to be, namely a discursive process of thought or the results thereof. Human experience is inadequately described or explained, some explicable, it is repeated. And I will go to the last one to explain that traditional views of intuition, Western and Hindu, are not acceptable or thinkers, because intuition is taken to be a discursive form of independent. Next. Similarly, another brief discussion I have attempted to make on the aura, which is also related to the spirituality, and it is mostly related with individual physical body. And I have written here that every individual as a person is surrounded by two types of aura. The physical auras, colors change with the moods, emotions of the moment. The spiritual aura has colors reflecting the evolution of the person. Both auras are changing constantly. Those who can see the physical aura can also diagnose medical problems. The spiritual aura requires a deep sense of integrity and can see past lives and the potential for spiritual growth in this and future lives. To say more about aura, the spiritual seekers are here in Nepal. They are put in front of a lamp, oil lamp, and they are practiced for several days, whether they can have a clear specific vision to a particular object. And after 3 or 4 weeks, if that is predestined and their level of penance is perfect, they will be able to study the aura of other people. What kind of aura some one individual is taking, that can be studied through yogic practice or spiritual practice or some kind of shamanic practice. In Nepal, so shamanic, I'll come later on that. Shamanic practice is widely used in Nepal, and they foretell anything, and they can see anything and tell immediately. And I was checking the shamanic practice in Indonesia and in Malaysia. They have also a lot of shamans, especially in the rural part of Malaysia and Indonesia, and they are also they're intuitive, and their consciousness and reading aura and foretelling the future, and they are capable and transformation of consciousness, and talking with their predecessors, and they are capable of doing these kind of things, and kind of trance into their body. So next, I will try to discuss briefly on spiritual consciousness, because we are discussing on spirituality and research. So spiritual consciousness is a harmonious factor with the universe, because we are part of the 5 elements of the universe, and we are not separated from the nature, and the nature and the place where we live from the spiritual consciousness point of view, that in the ocean or in the geography, in jungle, in Himalaya, wherever we are, from the spiritual conscious point of view, that they provide us 2 kind of energy. One is spiritual positive energy from the ground, from the place, and another is called geopathic stress. If from the spiritual point of view, we live in a place, in a house, or set up our business, that place which has geopathic stress, we cannot progress from that place. This is a strong belief in Nepal and India, and it is part of Vastu that is widely experimented in India and Nepal. So the spiritual consciousness have the capacity for diagnosis whether some place has negative stress, geopathic stress, or that place provides us geopathic energy. Previous year, we had little discussion with Dr. Ari about Sambhawa campus. How is the place and surrounding environment, including water and the direction of water, in which direction, in the forest, in the villages, and the landscape. We discussed a little bit about on that, and I would like to share my personal experience from Indonesia, Ubud, Bali, Ubud. Upon completion of the conference in Surabaya, I had opportunity to go to Bali, and I stay near the monkey forest with Bali, and that is my place of penance, place of my sadhana. From Bali, I did some sadhana there, and almost 5 days. I hardly slept 2 hours, and because I had to complete the number 125,000 125,000 numbers, repeating the same mantra. So I had a very good time there and very good experience. And there are many good places, spiritually proven places in Indonesia, including Bali. And I was lucky to go to Bali for my penance and spiritual practice. I'm happy to share this event with you. And the universal factors, harmonious factor for spiritual consciousness, I have put here 8 factors. The first is the feeling of total love for all living creatures. The second is divinely inspired power that inspires others. And the third is a feeling of unity with everything. And the next is direct experience of the essence. The fifth is the discovery of new value. The sixth is present positive feelings of happiness, peace, and joy. And 7, an experience of guidance and internal voice. And the last is feeling of devotion to God. The God is put as a condition from the time of a newborn baby, that religion and the God is defined according to the convenience of society, but we all human beings are the beautiful product of the Mother Earth. So the thinking, while we talk about the religion, should be spiritual. We should be spiritually thinking. We should be connected with the nature, with the universe. And definitely Indonesia is my key referent during this presentation. And I had some study on Indonesia that it was lucky and number 7 by studying its number, and consists of highly content of water element in Indonesia. So spiritually speaking, Indonesia is a very good place to stay and good place for sadhana and spiritual practice. So there should not be any kind of discrimination relating to religion. But when the baby is born, then the baby is put under so many conditions. And then if you follow this, and then you are qualified for this religion, or if you don't do this, you are not qualified for this religion. And even in social life, even in studying university, even in marriage life, there are so many discriminations relating to religion, and the societies from around the world still have to look deeply into the spiritual aspect of religion, and that kind of consciousness has to be developed, because we human being, as I said, the beautiful part of our beautiful gift is the God's gift to our life, is the God's gift, the beautiful gift from the God. So we should have a deeper feeling of fraternization, all people from around the world. In a globalized world, we should think spiritually, and this consciousness has to be developed. And I hope that Sambhava campus later on will be an excellent center for spirituality, and the people from around the place, from around the world, and Southeast Asia and Asia will have opportunity to have their visit and their study in our Sambhava campus, I guess, which is still under construction. I hope so. So the spiritual consciousness is the process we have to teach our children and our succeeding generation from the very beginning of their childhood as our primary school. Next slide, please. I have put some salient features of spiritual research. I have not dealt in detail about research or educational type of research or NGO type of research or university type of research. I have put my more thrust on spirituality. Salient features of spiritual research is, I have put some 5 points. It cannot use conventional measurement and analysis tools in spirituality, and conduct only sixth or extrasensory perception, that is called ESP, extrasensory perception, the sixth organ, because you don't get any structured format for spiritual research. That has to be developed from within, and it is not done in some college or some university or some kind of class work, homework or group work. It is individual, and it definitely it is recommended to look inward, not outward. Spiritual research, in spiritual research, so knowledge is obtained in a ready-made format from the universal mind and intellect. And study of the spiritual dimension is just as systematic and logical as that of the physical world. And spiritual research needs to be under the guidance of a spiritually evolved master, else can be misguided by negative energy. In my own experience, those were under a spiritual process who didn't have an able guru, they could not complete the mission of spiritual practice. And in my own country, Nepal, there has been many incidents that seekers tried to achieve spiritual level, spiritual growth without a qualified guru, and they were misguided and they were faced by negative consequences. So spiritual research is very complicated subject, because the human body itself functioning with 72,000 channels within our body, and our brain is the most complex thing in the world, that the brain is applied, the brain is concentrated, focused while undergoing the spiritual research. This is my observation, experience and advice. And next, I have discussed from Veda, the yoga and astrology in spiritual dimension of research. I have taken 2 faculties in my presentation. The first one is yoga, and the second is the astrology in spiritual research. Now, yoga has been taught in many universities around the world, and as a subject, as a department, as faculty, it has been taught. And in India, there is Yoga University And in Nepal also, the Central University has recently started teaching yoga in university master class. I had a opportunity. I had to have a basic yoga training in Nepal twice, and if not attaining the spiritual growth the way we expect, but it is very beneficial for the health and to treat many kind of disease. The yoga. This is my own experience, and I have described yoga is human harmonious development of body, mind, soul with perfect concentration, ethical perfection, unfold psychic powers are some of the key features of yoga. Yoga is eternal in soul and spirit. It is a secret master key for eternal bliss with a deep abiding peace. In short, yoga is the conjunction of the individual soul and the supreme soul. It's called yoga. So it's a faculty started teaching in the universities, so it is very difficult in few minutes to describe all dimension and all practice and all levels of yoga. Is difficult. I have just tried to touch upon the subject matter, and that yoga is practiced in many religion, in many culture, in society in different way, and maybe they have not given the name like yoga. They have been practicing through other names and other practices in different society. So from the spiritual point of view, the yoga, aura, or intuition, anything, every society has have their own way of practicing that, doing that. So it is good or that is bad. It's not so. So yoga is practiced, and the prayer also in the Muslim society is also kind of yoga, and they concentrate their mind and their soul and their its conjunction, definitely their individual soul to the supreme soul of the God or of the Allah. So yoga is practiced in different way, but how to benefit physically and how to have spiritual growth, that is definitely requires an able guru, able teacher for the perfection. Only that is what I want to say. But this kind of practice has been done in different societies in different way. So, but I am trying to take it from the Veda, and one of the source of Eastern wisdom, and from the Vedic perspective, I have put the points here. Next slide, please. So yoga is the union of self. It is a Sanskrit term. Yoga is for union. Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which were written about 2000 years ago, according to Veda and according to the Eastern literatures, scriptures, and Veda, Upanishad, and Puran, and so many scriptures are available in India and Nepal. It contains 8 distinction levels and practices. The first is yama. It is a conduct of life, relation to others, avoiding untruth, theft, injury to others, sensuality, and greed. Next is niyama. It is like a law, conduct towards oneself, cleanliness, tranquility, austerity, study, and devotion. The next is asana. Asana is a posture, stretching, bending, balancing, sitting, exercise. These exercises are nowadays collectively known as Hatha Yoga. There are many 4 or 5 yogas. So Hatha Yoga is one of the major yogas that is mostly widely practiced by yogis. The next is pranayama. Pranayama is a breathing exercise, aims to control the mind, and pranayama is it helped me to reduce my blood pressure. So after taking 6-7 years blood pressure hypertension tablet, so I gave up taking the tablets after doing pranayama every morning. It's my own experience. I do yoga about 45 minutes myself every morning. So it's just to share with you. And the pranayama is withdrawing the attention from the body and the senses. And dharana is concentration of mind. Dhyana is meditation. And the earth is, I cannot see here. It is not. And the earth is uninterrupted templation of reality, uninterrupted templation of reality. It is, yes, definitely it is uninterrupted. So this is the brief description of yoga, how we can take benefit and grow our spiritual power and stay healthy from the yoga practice. It is very, very, it is inextricable part from the spiritual or religious point of view. In Eastern philosophy, Indian philosophy, it is an inextricable part or inextricable routine of our life to have a good health and spiritual well-being. Next, please. So I have put here yoga chakras. Chakra means the circle which you can see. It begins from the root, the Muladhara chakra at the bottom. Muladhara chakra, you can see the Muladhara chakra is four-petaled. It is believed that it is resided over the lotus flower, and then four-petaled. Above the four-petaled lotus flower, Muladhara chakra is situated in the human body, and it is at the root. Most of the people in the world do not rise their chakra from the Muladhara, from the root chakra, because Muladhara is a place where spirituality and pleasure is connected, because human being is more driven towards the pleasure. So from the Muladhara chakra, most of the people do not try to go up, raise their chakra from the Muladhara, from the root, and because all pleasure organs are concentrated in the Muladhara area, Muladhara zone, so they don't want to go up or rise their level of yoga. So the people who would like to rise their kundalini or their chakra, it is also called kundalini also, chakra, they have to try to go up from the Muladhara chakra, which resides in the four petals of the lotus. And the second is the Swadhisthana chakra. This is called sacral also. Swadhisthana chakra is the second chakra after Muladhara that has to be awakened, that has to be awakened after Muladhara, And this is the second step of, it's a kind of growth, kind of promotion, the Swadhisthana chakra. And in next, the third is from the button is solar plexus. It is called Manipur. And the Manipur chakra is between the chest and the navel area. And then the fourth is Anahat chakra. Anahat chakra is in the heart. It is resided over the 12 petaled lotus, and the Vishuddha chakra is in the throat. That we discuss sometimes at home, those whose Vishuddha chakra is awakened and given some kind of course and the bad words to somebody else, that has been manifested. So those people who has risen their Vishuddha chakra, they should not give any course and bad words to the other people. It is believed very, very powerful, the awakening of the Vishuddha chakra. And then the final is the Agya chakra. Agya chakra is with two petal, residing with two petal lotus. And then those who has awakened the Agya chakra, they don't need to study anything. They don't need to visit any place. They can foretell and they can tell everything that comes, that appears within their vision. So it is not necessary for them to study and to go into the research and to go in other areas to find out something else. They can foretell and they can forecast what is happening around us in our country and in our region or in the world. They can tell, but it is called third eye also in Tibetan. In Buddhism, there are many books written on third eye, so it is called third eye also. And in Hindu scripture, the third eye is Shiva. The Lord Shiva also has third eye, and he can see the world and he can know everything. So from the scientific point of view, and the many scientists from the world, from around the world, were very jealous to the shamans, because maybe what is shaman called? It is dukun in Indonesian. Yes, dukun. The dukuns, the people are very. It is like that. Their Agya chakra, the third eye is open. They can tell anything instantly. So the scientists were very jealous to them. We are conducting this kind of research and for many years, and we have spent our whole life in researching and how this illiterate guy and without having primary education and secondary education, this tells everything and living in a primitive condition, and they forecast everything and they foretell everything. And then so in my short study about shamanism, that in Siberia, in Africa, many shamans were put into the camp and they were killed in one or the other way. They had been given torture and they were killed by other tribes or other people. Let's not go into detail of it. So they were killed. The shaman and the dukun, they are the kundalini, they are the Agya chakra, the third eye is awakened and they can tell. And that had been proven many times in Nepal, many parts in the western parts. Actually, people, when they have problems, they have many cases, financial cases, the cases of the land, the disputes on the land, and disputes on the property. They don't go to the court. Still today, even today, they go to the dukun, and they decide from the dukun and that is the final version and accepted by the villagers. And the Sahasrara Chakra, the crown of the head, it is on top of the head. It is situated in thousand petal lotus, and it is also said that a man who has attained the awakening of the Sahasrara Chakra, he does not have a right to live as human body on earth, and then with Sahasrara Chakra, crown of the head, is awakened, and then they are no more on earth. So because that is not feasible and practical, what they see and what they say, that is not applicable to the present human being. So this is a very immortal chakra, and after awakening of this chakra, the Agya Chakra, third eye, and the crown, and the people, it is said, it is believed that people don't have to have a rebirth on earth as human being or any other creature. This is the proverb they say in Nepal. So next, this is serpent power. I said the six chakras or 7 chakras I presented in the previous slide. This is coiled in the spinal cord from the back of the body. It is Kundalini. Kundalini is a female title, female name. Kundal means like the ring in the ear. Mostly the females used to wear. It is called Kundal, and this chakra is called, serpent power is called Kundalini, and it starts going up from the bottom. As I said, the Muladhara Chakra, the place of pleasure and the place of dividing the body between upper part and the lower part of the body. So it is said and it is believed that the serpent power is activated in the body from the behind when you are practicing yoga, or you are trying to attain or open third eye, or attain the spiritual growth. One needs to have been blessed by the presence of serpent power. Serpent power. Many books in the world, especially in the West, in the Europe, they have written much about serpent power, and they have started teaching yoga and this kind of education, and not like serpent power detailed description, but the practice of yoga. I saw many yoga centers, many centers in Bali, also in Indonesia. There are many yoga centers and taught by the Indians and local instructors to tourist Europeans and foreigners. So it is extremely important for a aspirant and the spiritual seeker, awakening of the Kundalini, and thinking the growth about 6 chakras, and the presence of the blessing of serpent power in every chakra, which is very important for yoga students or yoga knowledge seekers. And next, please. Another dimension of spirituality in research is astrology. It is one of the key points from the Veda, from the Eastern scriptures. It is about zodiac signs are 12. You can see here in the chart. This chart just for example. It does not describe anything particularly for particular person. It is not designed for that, but it is a kind of sample and example that we can see the 12 houses are occupied by 12 zodiac signs, and in the chart, the individual chart are represented by different individuals. Every individual has their own birth chart. So in India, in Nepal, and in many countries, it decides that astrologers here in Nepal decide sometimes that who is going to be prime minister, who is going to be president, who wins the election, who does not win the election, who gets the promotion and who does not get the promotion, who get business who get benefit from the profit from the business and who does not get. So besides the geopathic energy, geopathic stress from the ground, from the nature, from the number of a man represented by number, as you pronounce his or her name, and you start counting the number after letter, and then you came to conclusion that this man belongs to this number, so that number is lucky or not. And even the more practicing in Nepal, that they decide to name an organization depend on the number, depend on the astrology, and astrologer decide that what to name to your business name of your company, of your business, of your school, university campus, or any other business organization, hotel, whatever, because the name is given by the astrologers that suits or not under the name of that particular owner. So, and similarly, the disease, the level of education, and the age of what time line is good for marriage and for children, birth of children, everything, the whole life science is astrology that is especially believed in India and Nepal. But what I read in some literature that astrologers from East Java are also not less competent than the Indian astrologers, because they have a very deep knowledge on astrology and predicting things. Maybe you know much better than me, because the East Java is a place where the Eastern wisdom is practiced more, and they have learned a lot of things from Vedic science. So the 12 houses and the 12 zodiac signs is very important in human life, and this has been divided into two life frame, two life structure. That the first, there is to calculate life 120 years previously. Now they say that during the time of this Iron Age, the living life is getting short. So they have broken down. The breakdown made for 80 years. So there are two methodologies. One astronomy system, they say life is 80 years, and the other say still life is 120 years. So in two ways, they try to calculate and forecast the future and other activities to be performed according to astrology. So this is what the astrological chart says about the whole life of an individual. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yes. Now we discuss about the most important part of the Jyotish is the first is the zodiac sign, and the second is, from the spiritual point of view, is the 27 constellations. So 27 constellations, we all belong to one constellation. So the zodiac sign is or offers a detailed study of an individual. But this constellation immediately says the general character of individual and his or her likings or dislikings, and what could be the level of education and the health and marriage life, relationship, so many things in a very short time. The constellations are described by the astrologer or experts of the constellation, which is a very integral part of the Jyotish. And to have some spiritual knowledge, one must have some knowledge on basic knowledge on constellation and astrology. Constellation is very important because the major incidents from around the world that some of the Nepalese astrologers and constellation expert have forecasted in the major events of the world. And then one of the Lama from the Buddhism, that we had nearly 8 Richter scale earthquake about 7 years ago in Kathmandu. 8 Richter scale. So it happened. The earthquake took place in April, but the Buddhist guru, the Lama, had prepared his calendar, yearly calendar, in December of the previous year. So that on that very day at 11:54, there will be a big incident in our country. He forecasted, and that among the major incidents, he wrote about the earthquake also, and he forecast that the earthquake will happen in Nepal at 11:54 on that day. So the people were surprised because they don't have most of the people, so they don't have knowledge about the constellation and about the zodiac sign. From the zodiac sign of the country, he foretold that through his calendar, then it was a matter of great discussion and great interest to many people in the town after the earthquake that he had forecast. Next slide, please. Yes, before summing up my presentation on astrology and this constellation and the yoga, I end up here my presentation, and after taking the question and answer, and it will be easy for me to conclude my presentation. And if you have any questions, and please, I will try to and share, because it is not a perfect. The lecture on spirituality, presentation on spirituality and religion and the similar subjects cannot be a perfect and complete. It is my part of teaching and part of the learning. Let us say it is my sharing with with brothers and sisters from Indonesia, Malaysia, and from other parts. I'm also in the learning process. I have still, everybody, all of us, we have a long way to go and to learn many things by sharing and caring. So I'll be happy from your sharing and comments, suggestions, and questions. And then my learning part also will be completed at the end. So if you have any queries, questions, suggestions, it's open, and please.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Yogi. Wonderful presentations, very impressive, very interesting about the topic, how research in the spiritual dimensions. And you also mentioned before in your slide, how to harmonize, harmonization between the spiritual, between the research, intuition, the aura, and also relate with the yoga and astrology. Okay, we're still waiting the question in the chat box. So participants, if you have a question, please directly to mute yourself, to unmute yourself, okay? Any questions? Okay, waiting for the question, I have one question, Mr. Yogi. In the spiritual research that you mentioned in your slide, that we cannot use conventional measurement and analysis tools, especially for the spirituals. So I'm still confused. What about we use our justified, or maybe in the quantitative research we use proxy for the conventional measurement and the analysis. It is something relevant to the spiritual dimensions. Okay, that my first question. And the second is, what about the theory? What about the theory to make clear the information for our audience, for our reader regarding the spiritual dimensions? Thank you, Mr. Yogi. And we have Ibu Ari Kamayanti, raise hand. Please, Ibu Ari.
Okay, thank you, Pak Satya. Yes, Imhanat, how are you today? I hope you are fine. It's really great to see you.
Terima kasih, madam.
Terima kasih. Is that your outfit, a Nepalese outfit?
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Yogi, it is very interesting about your presentation, as Dr. Candidate Agus Satya just mentioned. My question is about the consequence. So if, for example, I practice yoga and as a result, probably I will be at more peace, inner peace, loving devotion to God, etc., as you have mentioned. My question is, what would be the consequence of the research that I would produce when I am in that kind of state? Because if you talk about research, usually we are trapped in scientific indicators that this is scientific research. Can finally spiritual research be also defined as scientific research? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. I will go to the first question of Dr. Utama, that you talk about the conventional issues related with spirituality and how to quantify it in research methodology. That my answer would be, it's not like mathematics or physics to answer such questions. It is a loose description, I can share with you that the science so far, to my knowledge, the science has not been able to quantify the spiritual aspect, and still the human body and actually the human brain or the gray matter in our brain is a very complex machine that scientists so far are not able to explore, to find out, to medically diagnosis, proven diagnosis are not available. From the Eastern scripture point of view, what I would like to share that, and based on my observation, the scientists from around the world are still frustrated, not being able to find such spiritual things, putting them into quantitatively and qualitatively, categorically. They are not able to find. So they are running after the spiritual things. They are continuing their effort, and the cosmological power, cosmological energy, cosmological expression, the subconscious part of the human body and the conscious part of the human body. In these kind of activities, the scientists have not achieved full success so far. They have achieved success in a very small portion of the creation, let us say, of the creation of the universe. So I would not like to blame to the scientists, because it is a very, very rigorous process, very high effort, and they have almost sacrificed all the life in particular research. But what I had a little bit shared about that you can check from your one geographic zone, from territory, that your shamans from the in spirit possession or mediumship, and that some shaman, the dukun or the sorcery, the kasusupan, alam, antara, kasektan, dulur, papt, elmu, barong, these are the shamans, a few shamans. I check in a book before preparing this presentation. So if you have time, and please go to a shaman, dukun, and then you put the question. But you go to the very old, very senior dukun, and then you ask the questions, what problem you have, and the way he will reply. He looks like a primitive man, and he does not have higher education, and he live in a normal house. He live in a remote village around the water area, around the forest area. He's a farmer probably. So, but how he replies to your question within second. When I asked my guru about the shaman, how the dukun, they do reply on such complicated questions, and sometimes they speak a different language Then we speak and we can understand and communicate. And what was the reason behind that? I asked that the shaman, the tukun, that if the answer of your question is not available in the universe from your community language, then the shaman has to communicate it within fraction second with the tukun of Africa. So then he's communicated in African language and started telling your things, answering your things in African language or any other language from any part of the world, from the other shamans, other tukuns, he get the reply. So a neuroscientist from Lebanon, Professor Tony Nader, Dr. Tony Nader, a neuroscientist from Lebanon, wrote a book with Maharshi Mahesh Yogi in 1999, The Human Physiology, Veda and the Vedic Expression of Life. Human Physiology, the Veda and Vedic Expression of Life. The writer was honored in New Delhi as the Sri Rama of this age, and his coronation was conducted in New Delhi in the presence of President. And later on in the Holland, he was given a prize equivalent to the price of gold, equivalent to his body, probably 70, 80 kilo, I guess, 90 kilo of gold. So even Professor Tony Nader cannot say everything about the human brain and how it functions and how the spiritual masters say many things and the enlightened masters. And if you have time, you can browse from Sadhguru lectures from India, Sadhguru, and he provides hundreds of lectures, including Oxford, Harvard, Cambridge, and in many countries of the world. He travels frequently and gives lecture to university students and other communities. And I guess, I have not proved, but I guess he's an enlightened person. So even the scientists from Oxford University were not able to have a kind of debate, a kind of conversation, satisfactory conversation with the Sadhguru. So they were not able to delve deep from the Sadhguru that what he had in his mind and how does he respond and reply very, very correctly with the answers. So, but Dukun can say the disease, how to treat and what was happened and what will happen. But to find out the pathological test like blood, urine, etc., you need to go to hospital. You need to go to a pathological lab. So our effort should have a proper balance between the science and the spirituality. So this is my recommendation, because sometimes in some technological innovation, pathological report or medical findings, we need the help of science. But in some cases, we need help of even the minor small dukun or some other spiritual gurus or some enlightened person also help to ease, to make comfort our survival. Is that okay, sir?
Yes, okay, Mr.
Okay.
Yogi. Okay, you can continue for the second question from Ibu Ari.
Okay, thank you. I will go to the question of Dr. Ari. She was asking about the the consequences of the scientific and what is the verification mechanism that if she does yoga and the results of yoga. Or definitely, madam, it is a process that you don't go to. You don't need to go anywhere to do yoga. You can do at your home, at your bed, or at your library room, living room, wherever you want. You can do it, but there are certain rules that first of all, doing yoga and gaining spiritual growth, it goes side by side simultaneously. And the first of all, according to my experience, you need to clean your body. For example, before putting tea into a cup, you need to clean it and put the tea or coffee in the cup, and then you take. So the spiritual knowledge and the divine grace from the God, from the Allah, and to have a healthy body, you need to follow certain some disciplines, some spiritual disciplines, some diet rules, and cleansing your body, and to start yoga, and what kind of yoga you have to perform, you have to exercise, depends on your physical condition and your age, and the time you can allocate for yoga. It is decided by your own your personal environment. So you can do yoga, madam, definitely. You and Dr. Aji are very younger than me, so you still have a lot of time to do yoga. And then if it happen to come to Indonesia again, then we can discuss and we can practice yoga, and we can share some materials also, reading material, documents also. And most of the students from PNLA and from our connection also can be benefited. So you can do yoga, madam, and you can start, and I can give you some links also, and you can do normal yoga just for your health, and changing your habit. And the most difficulty we are facing today for our children, for our university college students, to teach yoga is difficult. That the whole old and especially the young generation has become very, very addicted to the mobile. This has been very detrimental effect on their health, on their eye, and allocating the priority of time. So the mobile has become a different instrument for them. So it has to be changed in the habit to conduct yoga, and cleansing your body and concentration of your mind, and definitely also follow some basic rule from the available text. Definitely in internet also there are a lot of sources available in yoga, and Bali is not very far from Malang, that you can consult. Maybe the yoga gurus, teachers also visit Malang frequently, I don't know, but that is not so far. So you can learn yoga and you can practice, and then definitely there will be a mental growth and development in memory power, and reduce little weight. Many benefits of yoga. And if you are predestined and you can put desired effort on that, you might be enlightened one day. That is what, madam, I can advise, I can suggest, and I can share with you. Is that okay, madam? Anybody? There was a question in the chat.
Yeah, we have two following question in the chat box, and also Ibu Lienur also in raise hand. So you can see in the chat box from Mr. Nuruddin's. Dr. Yogi, Mr. Nuruddin want to know about the spiritualism repressed in such way regarding the Marxism's influence in Nepal. And also he asks about the intuition and revelation have anything in common? Any distinction between black and white, shaman in Nepali context? And what about the traditional spiritual knowledge and modern science in the methodology should be given equal space in the classroom or academic world?
Yes, I can see that, but I will want to know that happened in Nepal under influence of Marxism. Is spiritualism impressed Marxism? Marxism is spiritualism repressed such way? Do you think intuition and the revelation have anything in common? Is that your first question? Academic spiritual knowledge, yes. Intuition, revelation, anything in common? Intuition and the revelation. Intuition. Yes, I got your question. That first question is, it is from Nuruddin, right? Okay, Nuruddin, I will reply your three questions. I will try to share my observation, my experience, and my idea that intuition is, as I told earlier, that intuition is it is kind of brainstorming, that you get something out of the storming of your brain. Intuition is very thinking from the very inner heart, that you perceive something from nature, or from you have that kind of aura, and you can have that kind of intuition, and then you can think that later on the people say, if some old man predicted something in the village, and from his intuition, and that came to be true later on. So this is an example of intuition. Also, revelation is sometimes you can in other ways also. It also reveals. It also kind of result. Revealing is sometimes it's there are many connotations of revealing, that legal aspects, social aspects, and so many things connected to reveal. But intuition is your one deeper thinking, or sporadically it happens that I'm feeling something today, and sometimes today or tomorrow this is going to be happen. Some people in the village, some people in the town talk like that from their intuition, and that is manifested later. So that is your intuition and revelation. And the second question about Marxism and shaman. Yes, Marxism and shaman. Yes, we had a very effect in the shaman system during the time of insurgency war. So the shamans, the tukuns were suffered a lot. But now, after signing the treaty, peace treaty, the people who were involved in torturing the shamans, they suffered a lot, and they went back to village asking forgiveness with the shaman, and offering puja, flowers, fruits, sometimes sacrificial goats, lambs, and they prayed in the temples for the forgiveness what they did in the past. It has begun now, and many of the Marxists today go to the shaman place in their anniversary and other special occasions. And in Nepal, there is in every clan there is a deity, and they have their dukun, and they go there when somebody is promoted in the high rank, when a baby is born in the family, and they offer and they sacrifice some goat, some land, and some fruits, some money, and some ornaments to the god. They present. And now there has been a lot attempts to distort shamanism, and traditional practice is badly distorted, but upon facing the bad consequences of these kind of conspiracies, so they have started going to worship in the temples of the village and their deities of their clan. And the next question is about the shamanic knowledge. Yes, I believe in shamanic knowledge, but we call it as indigenous knowledge. It's indigenous knowledge. In the human history, we have traversed our lifespan thousands of years ago, so we are not provided with this kind of facility. So we used to live in the jungles. We used to live in the cow shed with the animals. We used to live, but who protected us during that time? They were the shamans that protected us, our family, our properties, our animals, our children, and they were protected by the dukuns and by the local deities. So, spiritually speaking, indigenous knowledge is a very higher knowledge. Shamanic knowledge is little part, small portion of the indigenous knowledge. But indigenous knowledge in Indonesia, those you get from the sea and you get from the jungles of Indonesia, jungles of Malaysia, that is very, very high. That has to be preserved and protected from the young generations. That you have access to the university campus, study facility, and the teaching facility, and you have many institutions for research. Then the science and the indigenous knowledge or dukun knowledge, there has to be a practice of coexistence between the two, because one cannot ignore the other, because we cannot spend that much money as the science demands in our troubles. During the time of COVID-19 in Nepal, most of the patients were suffered from the allopathic medicine, but those who took allopathic medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, herbal medicine, and applied indigenous knowledge, they did not have to spend that much money and did not take the risk, and nobody died. Those who took the medicine during the time of COVID-19 in the private hospital, expensive hospital, the cost was $1,000 per night. $1,000. So ordinary people were not able to afford the cost during the time of pandemic. So we need to protect, preserve, research, ensure their survival, and if the science, Western science, is capable of managing all the things, they should cooperate and coexist with the indigenous knowledge. Let us not be specific from any part of the world. It might be Indonesia, Malaysia, or Hong Kong, Brunei, or Kathmandu, or India, wherever. We have to have coexistence, so that we cannot remove and we cannot ignore, we cannot punish to the indigenous knowledge, and by introducing different kind of laws that they are discriminatory against the indigenous knowledge, and they are discouraging the indigenous knowledge, and they hate and they deliver from the from media hatred saying against the indigenous knowledge. Indigenous knowledge is very important for our survivals for all times to come, because that has been inextricably related with our past. So we cannot forget the past to build the future if we hold some spiritual value in our life. Is there any question, sir?
Yeah, this is question from Ibu Lianur. Yeah. First question, how do you validate the spiritual dimensions in research and actions? And the second question, is the spiritual dimension in research same as Scientology? And the third question, can spiritual needs only be met by people who are religious? And is the need for knowledge only with school? That's the question, Mr. Yogi.
Could you please kindly repeat once again?
The second is the spiritual dimension in research, same as Scientology. And the third question, can spiritual needs only be met by people who are religious? And is the need for knowledge only with school?
Okay.
Yeah.
As I said, that check it from my, I think that if you try to take a spiritual path in your life, there is no any discrimination that only the religious people can take the spiritual practice, can do the spiritual practice. It is not so. Everyone can do spiritual practice and religious practice side by side, but there should not be existential threat in each other. Everyone has right to survive, and there are constitutional guarantees. So we all have to abide by the moral values as well as the constitutional provision. We need to abide by that. And while you are seeking a spiritual path, be a religious or not, whether you are doing research or not, research methodology and accounting research, and I found in Surabaya conference that most of the papers were presented on methodology and accounting. So it has been best practice in Nepal here, these subjects. And I didn't ask also, I didn't have time to ask these questions, why that much methodology and that much accounting is carried out. I don't know, it is the reason of corruption, or it is the question of mismanagement, or how the organizations conduct ISO assessment, International Standard Organization assessments. I don't know much about that, but spiritualism is your spirit, is your soul, is your body. You don't have to go anywhere, and you don't have to practice with other body, but you can use your own body, and you have every right to use your own body in the research methodology as well as spirituality. Spirituality is a tool providing you light that in your journey, in your travel, in your spiritual travel, traveling, educational traveling, or any other path, you don't have enough light on your path, and spirituality will illuminate some light and will facilitate you to reach to your destiny, to your goal, to attain your goal and objectives. This is how spirituality should be used. But there are certain rules you need to follow while being a spiritual person or religious person. For example, the dress code, see the gurus, see the fathers, and see the peoples in their dress in Mecca and Medina, you can see, and in temples. So the food habit, and also religious guru and the spiritual persons should have a vast knowledge on anger management. So the people get very quickly angry because the world is like that. They have become very materialistic, and you don't have to be a religious person to be a spiritual person. And regarding the previous question, there was a Marxism question on Marxism, that, and Nepal today, like many other countries, I think ism has not worked much. The political ideological ism has not worked. The whole world has turned into the marketism. The power of market and the capitalism and the globalization has dominated the world. So in Indonesia also, you can assess yourself the power of market and the marketism than any other ism. The political isms, they are widely used in the election and written their manifesto. But yes, Marxism is there in many countries. Socialism is there. They call democratic socialism. So many doctrines. Politically, their cadres, the leaders, they are indoctrinated. But as I see today, from my age, from my experience, my point of view, I see in Kathmandu. Kathmandu is under control. The capital city of Nepal is under control of marketism and the global capitalism. It has been part of the global capitalism. And if you cannot provide a good mobile to your daughter, to your son, you cannot be a good father. This is how the society is turning, that everything you need from the market, and good clothes, good dress, good mobile, and good car, and so many things surrounded by the materials. So the marketism or any other ism will gradually be deteriorate and will go slow down, and the market power will come. Even sometimes between husband and wife also there is a dispute due to the presence of the marketism. So you have to understand the market first, and the globalization and the capitalism, and then we can talk the rest about politics and other social management. But spiritual and the yoga, understanding astrology, they are the integral part of the life, and every step we don't have to spend much money, much effort. It is just simple process. You can take advice from the seniors, from the knowledgeable persons, then you can be benefited from them. And my experience and my involvement at present times, that I have been publishing books. I have put my efforts in publishing book. They are more than 50 years old, some 100 years old books. They describe about the society and our culture, our tradition, our history, our indigenous knowledge. So Western education is trying to throw our indigenous documents, and they have entered into the curriculum room, and they influence the curriculum room. In the curriculum room, they enter into our curriculum room and try to influence and throw away the indigenous knowledge, spiritual knowledge, religious knowledge, and keep on distorting the society. And they appoint many people that discrimination is there in our society, and people from our society, from our families, from our village started speaking against our own culture, one tradition, and one indigenous knowledge, and even our cosmological knowledge. So institutions or individuals, you are the, I guess it is the 4th largest country in the world, right? Indonesia, by population. Indonesia is the 4th largest country in the world, right? So you need to preserve your culture. No one will come. If you have a good university, you would like to teach the Malay, Indonesian culture, Malaysian culture, and you go back to the 100 years and evaluate the qualities of your predecessors, they won't allow you. They will come to your room. They will enter your room and influencing in the development of your curriculum. So I have started writing. So I wrote already, I translated and I collected already 2 books. And so I'm in the process of collecting books and scriptures, whatever could be available from the past, from the ancestors, and republishing them, and then distribute to the society. Then only you can preserve what property, what cosmological property, spiritual property, religious property, traditional property you had from your ancestors. Then you can preserve. It's up to you. Just I shared my experience and my efforts the way I am putting here in Nepal. Is there any more questions, sir? Please.
Okay, I think that the last question from Ibu Leonor, Mr. Yogi. So that we don't see the question in the chat box and also the raised hands. Yes, Mr. Yogi. So we have closer to the end of the first session today. Let me wrap up what Mr. Yogi addressed with his presentations. Mr. Yogi said that address on how research effort can be benefit by conjoining with spiritual dimensions. Both are related with human brain functioning with complexities, and the multiple methodologies have been recommended for researchers in organizations and universities. And finally, every human being exists with an entire universe. There is a tremendous possibility enhancing life quality, building confidence with clarity by seeking and developing our level of intelligence. An idea of spirituality exists in every society in one or the other way. Thank you so much, Mr. Yogi, for wonderful presentation. Thank you for all participants with question, and Q&A sessions. Thank you very much for the first session today. Back to you, Master of Ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It was really a pleasure for inviting me. It's a great honor and to have with you. And definitely the English is a second language for all of us. It's very difficult to communicate the way I want and the way I wish. Every presenter face in English presenting as their second language. And also Thank you very much for your kind listening, and have a good day. Namaste. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yogi.
Okay, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation and discussion section by our guest lecturer, Dr. Yogi Simhanat, with the moderator, the candidate Dr. Anak Agung Gede Satya Utama. Now we are going to the second session. Presentation of selected paper to be published in International Journal of Religious Cultural Studies. And the section will be led by the Chief of International Journal of Religious Cultural Studies, Ms. Ari Kamayanti. Time is yours.
Thank you, Anangali. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and thank you, Dr. Yogi Simhanat, for such wonderful presentation. And we hope that what we have learned from Dr. Yogi would be an enlightening for all of us. Everyone, today we have come to the next session, which is a paper presentation. And I would like to to share the papers that have been selected to be presented in the session up to 12 o'clock this noon. And this is our papers. And I do hope that the people, the authors that are already in this event could raise their hands so we could see how many of the presenters are already present in this event. So the first paper would be by Diah Ayu Lestari, Parwita Setiawardani, and Rika Yuliastanti from STE Mardika Surabaya, with the title of Tedak Sinten, Islam Java Cultural Acculturation. And then the second is by Pujari Sik Ramadan, Stepping Ahead from Agency and Stewardship Theory, an Islamic Perspective from Universitas Brawijaya. And then we have Stacy Jin Young Kim from Daisen Institute of Religion and Culture, Korea. And then Fatmawati Sungkawaningrum from Institute Islam Nahdlatul Ulama Temanggung. And then Asri Jaya from Ustaz Muhammadiyah Makassar. And finally Mansurni Abadi and Karol Miloki from Institute Kajian Etnik UKM Malaysia and Research Embodied International, the Netherlands. So please do raise your hand so we could see who are already present in this event. And I would like to invite, first of all, Ibu Parwita Setia and friends to present their papers. Oh, but we do have, yes, Diah Lestari, yes. Can you unmute committee? You have 7 minutes to present your paper.
Yeah. So thank you for Ms. Ari Kamayanti for the opportunity. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. So first of all, let me ask about my voice. Is it clearly already, Miss
Okay,
Ari?
we can hear you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Can you please help me to share the presentation, Miss Ari, or the administrator?
Oh ya, panitia kan bisa dikasih ke Mbak Andy untuk bisa share screen.
Baik. Okay. Is it already shows up?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so here I'm going to talk about the Dasiten. First of all, I have my teams. They are Miss Parwita Setiawardani, SAMSE, and also the last one is Miss Rika Yuliastanti, SAMM. Welcome to our presentation, which is Islam Java Culture Acculturation, which is the case study at Tulung Agung, East Java. Next, please. So I have 5 contents that we will talk about. The first one is about the authors. The second is introduction. The third one is methods. The fourth is discussion. And the last one is conclusion. Next, please. Yeah. The first slide, we will talk about the authors. The first author is me, Dia Ayu Lestari. I'm an executive council of student in STIM Merdeka Surabaya. And also the second author is Miss Parwita Setiawardani, SAMSE. She's the second or the vice dean in STIM Merdeka, and also the Miss Rika Yuliastanti, SAMM. She's the third vice dean of infrastructure in STIM Merdeka also. Okay, without any further ado, let's talk about the introduction. What is the Dasiten? Okay, so the first of all, let me start with Islam is the most popular religion in Indonesia. Most adherents of Islams are on Java Island. Java Island is the 13th largest island in the world. Based on the result of research and discussion, samples has been taken that the majority of Javanese people and that Muslims still hold to their culture even though the era is modern. One of the traditional ceremonies that we have studied is the Dasiten. And all the Dasiten sequences contain several meanings from beginning to the end. And all the equipment from the Dasiten is also important in carrying out the ceremony. Can you please go to the next slide? Okay, as you can see on the screen that there's some picture. I'll explain to you from the first picture. The several sequences in the Dasiten ceremony, such as walking in 7 colors. The children are guided to walk in 7 plates, which are red, white, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. The colors are made of glutinous rice. The colors set us from darkest to the brightest, hoping that child's life will be brighter and brighter. In the Dasiten, as you can see on the next figure, on the second figure, in the Dasiten, the child is locked up with the chicken. After that, sorry. As you can see on the second figure, that the child was locked up in the cage. It means like cage like a world. So it means like when the child living his life in the world, and they can choose whatever he wants. Like, and we also put some stuff like toys, and then like stationery, and then the kid will choose whatever that he wants. So it shows up about the characters of the child. Okay. And also, as you can see, there's a ladder. The ladder shows up about life. There's a several footing in there. It means we have education starting from SD, SMP, SMA. It means elementary school, junior high school, and then senior high school, and then till success, which means we gotta reach in the future. And then next slide, please. Okay, so you can see after that, money was shown to be fought over by the surrounding children. It has meaning that one day the child will be a generous human for each other. And after that, Paranormal had just pet him with a spell. Of course, like after the child was given food in the cage with roasted chicken pieces, and in the tedasitan, we choose chicken legs usually. It ends as a form of gratitude because the child will begin to learn to walk. The ceremony is also an effort to introduce our children, our generation, to universe and the motherland where we were born. Next slide, please. Okay. The diagram above is the result of a survey that 33% of the people still hold the traditional tadasitan ceremony, because in this culture, it shows gratitude to God for having been given a baby and upholding the culture of the ancestors. As for their assumptions from the survey results, as much as 66% are respondents who have never previously held the tadasitan ceremony. The assumption of these respondents is that this traditional ceremony is not mandatory. It all depends on each other's belief. Tadasitan uses offerings that symbolize requests and prayers to God to receive blessing and protection. And also, the purpose of this tadasitan ceremony is fight evil deeds from human and evil spirits. While in Islam, has been taught various way to be grateful, starting from giving charity, praying, and as for the similar thing, namely akiko, if you ever heard about that. So some respondents stated that it's legal to carry out traditional ceremonies or not. Next slide, please. Okay, so I want to explain the conclusion. I think this is the last slide of this presentation. The process of for broadcasting Islamic religious teaching in Indonesia in various ways other than commerce, as with marriage, politics, education, art, and tasawwuf, to support the spread of Islamic teaching. According to the Kunchoro Ningrat, there are some things inside accumulating process. The first one, the state of the accepted community before the accumulating process begin to run. And the second is that individuals bringing in the foreign element of culture. The third, channels which is used by foreign culture to get into foreign culture. And the reaction of the individual exposed to foreign culture. In the cultural accretion process, we found two approach things. How things are done. Islamic values can be absorbed into part of Javanese culture. The first one, the Islamization of culture. The Javanese approach was directed to make an appearance features of Islam, but formally and substantially characterized by the use of Islamic terms, Islamic names, Islamic rules on various the old story. Okay. Secondly, Islamic Javanese, in an effort to internalize Islamic values through the infiltration of cultures of Java. The point here is that although the term and Java are still used, but the content of the ceremony is still Islamic value. Okay, I think that's enough. That's my presentation. I'm sorry if there is something missed or missed from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bu Lestari, and all the authors. I congratulate you for submitting a very interesting paper. And the paper itself is being reviewed, and hopefully with the according revision and the revisions needed, it can be published in October edition. And as chief of editor for International Journal of Religious and Cultural Studies, I would like to point out a few things that you might have to look into. And let me share something. The first thing is about the, sorry. So please note some of the things that you need to consider, that the abstract should be presented in 3 terms and directly to the purpose, the method, the finding, novelty, and contribution. The introduction should be elaborate more because the issue of the research must be highlighted. And you need to add some more previous research to your research and also highlight the novelty. The method in the article is a bit too short. If you are using the to employ qualitative approach, the sites of the research has not been explicated, and when was this research conducted, who were interviewed, who were observed, please put details and how the data was analyzed, please put in details in the method. And then please add aspects of trustworthiness. So if you said you're using interviews, you're using observations, we would really appreciate if you can place in some pictures, yeah, because you do have pictures and it is okay to present pictures in qualitative study. And finally, the conclusion should be in 3 paragraphs: finding, novelty, contribution, agenda, and limitation. And we are really looking forward to have this paper published in our journal this October. And for those of you who would like to ask questions about this paper, you can start writing the question in the chat box, because we are going to have to listen to all the presenters before we are going to have a general question and answer session. Okay, thank you very much, Bu Lestari. And next, we are going to have the next presenter who are already present right now. Bapak Asri is still having his noon prayer. So maybe Bu Fatma, is she already here? Not yet, or maybe Mansurni Abadi and Carol Miloki from Malaysia and Netherlands. Are we here? I would like to call again for Puja Rizik Ramadan, Stacy Jin Young Kim, Fatmawati Sungkawaningrum, Asri Jaya Nurlina, and Mansurni Abadi and Carol Miloki. So please raise your hands if you are in this room so we can hear your presentation. Okay. While we're waiting for the presenters to enter, I would like to open the question and answer session. If you could have some question and answer sessions right now. If anyone would like to ask Ibu Lestari, Bu Wardani, etc., please do so.
Madam, if you allow me, I would like to add one more point on Lestari's presentation.
Please do, sir. Mr. Yogi.
While I was in Surabaya conference, I asked Kathmandu that what is the number of Indonesia by Indonesian name, and then that number is calculated from the cosmological education. That was number 7. Lucky number. I told that message to the audience also. They were very happy that Indonesia is lucky number 7, etc., etc. And then in Lestari's presentation, she showed that 7 colors for the baby.
Yes, 7 colors.
And 7 footing ladder for the baby.
Yes.
7 flowers for the baby. I request her to deeply investigate in this matter that the 777 is come from the ancestors and from cosmology. It's a divine meaning. So I am not in Indonesia, so I don't have these resources and literature scriptures available to me from the library and other knowledgeable persons. If Lestari can do that research and getting in touch with me, and then I can communicate in Nepal also what is the consequence of number 7 and its attributes in detail. That's all, madam.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yogi. This is very interesting because Dr. Yogi, through his spiritual quest, asking the cosmology, what is the number for Indonesia? And then he comes up with number 7. And then Ibu Lestari, in her presentation, said that in the Sinten, we have 7 plates, 7 ladders, 7 what was that? 7 flowers, yeah, for bathing the baby. And Dr. Yogi was requesting that this should be investigated, the numerology of 7. And maybe this actually answers our previous questions about the scientific justification. How could Dr. Yogi from Nepal, who does not know anything about Indonesia, predicts the number 7, or probably not predicts, got the answer 7 as Indonesian numerology, and then it actually matches with the 7, with the 7 items, the 7 cosmological numbers from the Javanese tradition. So this is very, very interesting. So hopefully we can have some answers on this. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Yogi. And I would like to again invite other presenters. Is Asri Jaya already here? Fatmawati Sungkawaningrum or Mansurni Abadi? Please raise your hand so the committee could unmute you and you can start presenting your paper. Yes. Not yet. Ibu Lestari, would you like to say something about what Mr. Yogi just responded?
Okay, yeah, of course. If it's okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the question, dear Mr. Yogi. So actually in Java, because I'm Japanese, I think it's really easy for me to explain just a little bit in here. Okay, why Japanese choose number 7? Because in Java, seven name as in Japanese 7 is pitu. Pitu means pitulungan. Pitulungan means helps. Nah, that's from there. From there, we choose number 7 as for hoping that one day in the future, this child or our generation will be full of helpings from the God, of course. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay,
You're
great.
welcome.
So number 7. Okay, everyone. I would like to invite the other presenter, please. Could we have Fatma or Asri Jaya? Anyone is ready in this room? So we are very interested to actually hear about the the paper about philosophical perspective of Islamic economics. Okay, this is trying to integrate religion and economics. And then we do have from Asri Jaya, investigating Islamic financial market, a study in Jakarta Islamic Index. This is also Islamic finance. So this is very interesting. And also from Mansurni Abadi, analyzing perception towards ethnic relation among Patani and Malay university students. Okay, is anyone here at this? Oke, Pak Asri Jaya sudah siap. Bisa di-unmute Bapak Asri Jaya?
Ya, sudah siap, Ibu.
Siap. Selamat
Ya.
datang Pak Asri.
Selamat datang, Ibu.
Oke, silakan mau presentasi. Ada Dr. Yogi di sini from Nepal. So if you would like to speak in English, he can understand.
Bisa presentasi bahasa Indonesia, Ibu?
Boleh juga, silahkan.
Baik. Mohon izin, saya share screen. Oh, masih belum diizinkan, Ibu, untuk share screen.
Panitia bisa disampaikan biar bisa share screen. Sudah bisa, Pak?
Oh ya, sudah. Baik, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, kita panjatkan kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa taala karena pada siang hari ini kita semua dalam keadaan sehat walafiat. Izinkan saya mempresentasikan paper saya dengan tema atau judul penilaian harga saham perusahaan Jakarta Islamic Index dengan menggunakan pendekatan rasio keuangan. Paper ini ditulis oleh saya sendiri, Srijaya, sebagai koautor, dan Ibu Nurlina. Kami dari Universitas Muhammadiyah Makassar, Fakultas Ekonomi. Yang melatar belakangi kenapa penelitian ini dilakukan, kita sama pahami bersama bahwa pasar modal saat ini di kalangan kaum milenial itu adalah salah satu investasi yang paling digandrungi oleh anak milenial. Buktinya anak-anak muda sekarang sudah melek yang namanya investasi. Investasi sangat menjanjikan bila dilihat dari segi imbal balik yang diberikan karena cukup tinggi untuk para investor. Nah, salah satu instrumen investasi yang paling banyak dan terdaftar di pasar modal yaitu adalah investasi saham. Investasi menurut Islam adalah penanaman dana atau penyertaan modal untuk suatu bidang usaha yang kegiatan usahanya itu tidak bertentangan dengan prinsip-prinsip syariah, baik objeknya maupun prosesnya. Berdasarkan dari data OJK tercatat bahwa di saat pandemi COVID-19 itu terjadi fluktuasi harga saham secara umum, baik saham-saham yang ada di Indonesia maupun saham yang ada di dunia secara umum. Salah satunya ini bisa dilihat ada saham indeks IGL itu turun sampai beberapa persen, dan puncaknya itu terjadi di awal 2020 sampai 2021. Kalau dilihat kurvanya, ini bisa dilihat bahwa di akhir tahun 2019, di mana awal terjadinya COVID-19, harga-harga saham itu mulai berjatuhan semua. Sehingga ini yang tertarik untuk meneliti apakah dengan jatuhnya ini harga saham, apakah akibat kinerja perusahaan yang turun atau ada penyebab lain. Sehingga kami memandang perlu dilakukan penelitian. Ada 4 rumusan masalah yang kami rumuskan di dalam penelitian ini. Yang pertama adalah apakah carrion ratio itu berpengaruh terhadap harga saham perusahaan yang terdaftar di perusahaan Jakarta Islamic Index dengan periode 2016-2020. Kemudian yang kedua adalah apakah debt equity ratio berpengaruh terhadap harga saham perusahaan yang terdaftar di Jakarta Islamic Index. Kemudian yang ketiga adalah apakah return on equity berpengaruh terhadap harga saham perusahaan yang terdaftar di Jakarta Islamic Index. Dan yang keempat adalah apakah earning per share berpengaruh terhadap harga saham yang terdapat di Jakarta Islamic Index. Sama dengan rumusan masalah, maka ada 4 tujuan. Yang pertama, untuk mengetahui pengaruh carrion ratio terhadap harga saham. Kemudian yang kedua adalah mengetahui pengaruh carrion ratio, debt equity ratio terhadap harga saham. Yang ketiga adalah mengetahui return on equity terhadap harga saham, dan yang keempat adalah untuk mengetahui earning per share terhadap harga saham. Ini adalah kerangka konsepnya, bagaimana variabel carrion ratio, debt equity ratio, return on equity, dan earning per share terhadap harga saham di Jakarta Islamic Index. Jadi penelitian ini hanya mengambil perusahaan-perusahaan yang ada di Jakarta Islamic Index. Metodologi penelitiannya ini menggunakan pendekatan kuantitatif dengan metode deskriptif. Kemudian populasi yang dipilih ada 30 perusahaan yang terdaftar di Jakarta Islamic Index. Kemudian sampelnya digunakan purposive sampling dengan beberapa kriteria. Kemudian uji asumsi klasik dan uji analisis regresi berganda. Hasil penelitian yang pertama, hasil penelitian ini membuktikan bahwa carrion ratio berpengaruh positif dan signifikan terhadap harga saham pada perusahaan yang terdaftar di Jakarta Islamic Index. Dengan kata lain bahwa peningkatan atau penurunan nilai carrion ratio akan berdampak terhadap naik atau turunnya harga saham. Yang kedua, pengaruh debt equity ratio terhadap harga saham. Hasil penelitian membuktikan bahwa debt equity ratio tidak berpengaruh terhadap harga saham pada perusahaan yang terdaftar di Jakarta Islamic Index. Ini menandakan bahwa naik atau turunnya debt equity ratio tidak berdampak pada naik atau turunnya harga saham yang ada di Jakarta Islamic Index. Kemudian yang ketiga, bagaimana pengaruh return on equity terhadap harga saham. Dari hasil penelitian didapatkan bahwa return on equity berpengaruh positif dan signifikan terhadap harga saham pada perusahaan yang ada di Jakarta Islamic Index. Ini mengindikasikan bahwa naik atau turunnya return on equity akan berdampak juga terhadap naik atau turunnya harga saham. Dan yang terakhir adalah bagaimana pengaruh earning per share terhadap harga saham. Dari hasil penelitian dibuktikan bahwa earning per share berpengaruh positif dan signifikan terhadap harga saham yang ada di Jakarta Islamic Index. yang mengindikasikan bahwa naik atau turunnya nilai EPS akan berdampak terhadap naik atau turunnya juga harga saham. Demikian yang dapat saya sampaikan. Saya kembalikan kepada moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Pak Asri Jaya. Jadi saya akan dalam bahasa Inggris karena ada Pak Yogi di sini ya, supaya beliau bisa dengar. Jadi yang jelas ada beberapa hal yang perlu diperbaiki sebelum kita bisa publikasi. Tapi terima kasih, it's very interesting paper. Let me share something. Okay. So sorry. Okay, this similar thing, the abstract should be presented in this structure. Jadi ada purpose, method, findings, novelty, and contribution. Pak Asri mohon diperbaiki. Kemudian in the introduction, please start with the Islamic financial market. Why it is important to be researched? Karena Bapak langsung masuk ke financial ratio. Jadi lebih diperkuat ya tentang issue of the research. Kemudian yang berikutnya ada citasi Quran di dalam situ dan itu baik. Cuma di dalam situ ada satu kata yang satu frasa yang dimana mensitasi Anisa, janganlah tinggalkan keturunan yang lemah. Nah, namun Bapak Asri menyampaikan keturunan lemah itu berarti keturunan yang lemah secara finansial. Nah, ini yang perlu didukung secara referensi ya, dengan referensi bahwa memang bagian dari lemah secara finansial itu juga termasuk yang dimaksudkan dalam Quran. Jadi supaya tidak menjadi interpretasi yang konklusif ya, tidak tiba-tiba muncul. Kemudian ada hipotesis di section hipotesis testing, tetapi tidak ada hipotesis yang diajukan. Jadi mungkin ini perlu ditampilkan ya, karena saya yakin ini adalah artikel yang utuh kemudian mencoba di summarize menjadi sebuah artikel yang sifatnya halamannya lebih pendek. Ya. Mungkin dalam proses itu ada beberapa yang akhirnya menjadi terlempar ya. In the findings, please add paragraph stating the summary of all findings and highlight the novelty of the research. Jadi memang yang kita cari adalah kebaruan riset. Jadi mohon ditambahkan di situ. And finally, also the conclusion should be in 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph is about findings, the second one is about novelty, and the last one is about contribution or agenda or imitation. Tapi kita sangat senang dengan artikel ini dan semoga kita bisa segera mempublikasikannya bulan Oktober. Dengan catatan seluruh revisi bisa diselesaikan. Begitu yang bisa saya sampaikan ya Pak Asri ya.
Terima kasih Ibu. Insya Allah.
Semoga segera berproses. Oke.
Ya, insya Allah Ibu.
Oke, we have Ibu Fatmawati already present here. We can listen to Ibu Fatmawati first before we go to general question and answer. Ibu Fatmawati, sudah siap? Please unmute Fatmawati, ekonomi Islam ya, panitia. Committee please, panitia. Ya, sudah bisa Bu Fatmawati.
Baik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Mohon izin Ibu, saya presentasi dengan menggunakan bahasa Indonesia.
Ya, silakan.
Ya, bahwa paper yang saya angkat itu adalah Islamic Economy with Philosophy Perspective. Di sini saya bercerita tentang bahwa umat Islam itu saat ini dianggap telah mengalami kemunduran ilmu pengetahuan dibanding Barat, dan hal ini karena umat Islam terlena dengan kejayaan masa Islam yang lampau gitu. Nah, saat ini ketika Barat itu ilmu pengetahuannya dianggap lebih maju, itu karena mereka itu mempelajari filsafat. Jadi filsafat itu adalah bagaimana kita berpikir secara kritis, kemudian diasah pemikirannya, maka menyebabkan analisa kita itu terus berkembang. Nah, contohnya adalah bahwa negara lain itu mempelajari kebudayaan Indonesia itu bahwa orang Indonesia itu suka hidup berkelompok, sehingga Toyota itu membidik bagaimana menciptakan mobil yang bisa mengangkut banyak orang. Nah, terciptalah Kijang seperti itu. Nah, di sini kita juga ketika mempelajari budaya, maka akan tercipta suatu produk yang bisa dikembangkan. Berangkat dari situ, Ibu, sehingga kita mempelajari filosofi dan ekonomi Islam. Seperti itu, Ibu. Terima kasih. Mohon bimbingannya.
Oke, baik. Terima kasih Ibu Fatmawati. Jadi ini ada riset yang sangat menarik tentang philosophical perspective ya of Islamic economics. And we have received the paper and I would like to share the paper review. And okay, so I think the same with the others, ya, the abstract should be presented in the structure. This is a IGL style, ya. Jadi harus ada purpose, method, findings, novelty, and contribution. Lalu in the beginning of introduction, tolong langsung masuk ke Islamic economics and kenapa kok penting untuk melihat ini dari perspektif filosofi. Karena di introduction itu tidak menyebutkan Islamic economics, jadi masih ke arah ilmu secara umum. The use of the term Quran, please be consistent because sometimes you use Quran, sometimes you use Quran, yeah. So please just use the term Quran. And then the method is too short. In the method, you said that you have to find the need to use scientific method and non-scientific method. And this is actually interesting, but it needs some more elaboration, yeah. So what kind of scientific method and what kind of non-scientific method? If you're using, for example, interviews, with whom is the interview conducted? What were the questions asked? This has not been explicated. And then if you mentioned that the Quran should be the basis of philosophy, we need to see more of the Quran citations of the ayat-ayat that can be used to scrutinize, to investigate the Islamic economics. And then in the findings, please use more quotation from Quran or Hadith. And also if you are using, I see that you are attacking, ya, criticizing, ada beberapa kritik untuk filosofi yang dipakai dari Barat, tetapi belum jelas ya filosofi Barat yang mau dikritisi apa. Jadi please add some explanations. Is it the positivistic economics that you're attacking? Yeah. If so, please add some more explanations. Kemudian terakhir, conclusion should be in 3 paragraphs. You have to have findings, novelty, contribution, or agenda and limitation. And we understand that in Indonesia, English is not our first language. So if you have the Indonesian version, please send it to us and we can happily proofread it for you and also translate it for you, because the English version, there's a difference between the English writing and English scientific writing. So we could help you improve that if you would like. But if you would like to have some other proofreading services done outside, we also welcome that. So seperti itu Ibu Fatma. Nanti untuk setiap author, you can log in into your user in ijrax.rumahpenulis.id because all the reviews have been posted there, so you can see and start your revision as soon as possible, so we can have your papers published in October. Mungkin itu Bu Fatmawati. Terima kasih banyak. Thank you so much. Okay.
Terima kasih Ibu.
Ya, sama-sama. Okay, and then we are still inviting other writers. Can I have Mas Runi, I think? Do other writers also present in this event? I'm going to invite once more if the writers are not here today, so you can skip their presentation. So I'm going to I'm going to invite again Puja Rizik Ramadan, Stacy Jin Young Kim, this Mr. Kim or Miss Kim, I'm not so sure. This is a man or a woman. He is talking about shamanism or dukun in Korea. And then Mansurni Abadi. Is Mansurni Abadi here? Yes, Adi. Yes, please. Can the committee unmute Adi from Malaysia, who is writing with Carol Miloki from the Netherlands?
Maaf, saya Zoom ini nginstal update sendiri. Nanti ditunggu, nanti bentar lagi ya ini masuk. Ini masuk bentar. Saya guna Zoom yang satu lagi.
I see. Okay, siap. Okay, so Mansurni Abadi, I'm just going to review that he and Carol Miloki is writing about the analyzing perception towards ethnic relation among Patani and Malay university students. So this should be interesting. And we got news that Mr. Kim cannot join. Miss Puja or Mr. Puja cannot join. So we are going to have Mansurni Abadi and Carol Miloki as our last presenter for this session.
Saya live dari.
Okay. Yes, troubles with the Zoom. Mansurni Abadi, Rosie raised their hands. Committee, can you unmute Mr. Mansurni? Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Mansurni.
Okay,
Silakan.
Can I share screen?
Yes, you should be able to share screen. Can you share screen?
Okay, so in the beginning.
Yes, we can see the screen.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om
Waalaikumsalam.
Swastiastu. My name Mansurni Abadi, and basically I'm writing with my friend Carol Miloki, but I think he's still sleeping now. he not read my WhatsApp. Then our paper is about the analyzing perception toward the ethnic relation among the Patani Malay University students. So maybe all of you ever heard about the Patani, Patani people. Patani is it's part of the Thailand in the deep south of Thailand. So so basically our observation is due by online because during the pandemic I'm still in Malaysia and also Carol still trapped in Europe, so we cannot traveling to Thailand, but we ever do many peace advocacy with the Deep South Watch in the Patani, Naratiwat, and also Yala under Muhammadiyah also. Then about the ethnic relation, because they are different approach to study inter-ethnic relation in the research literature, and some focus on relation between particular minorities, and then other on the minority interaction with the majority, and also their approach with the monitor the growing ethnic diversion. And then the last concern, relation between insider in ethnic groups. So our research is a concern with the relation between the Patani Malay ethnic and also Thai Buddhist ethnic in the Deep South. So then second, okay, about the Deep South of Thailand. So Deep South of Thailand encompass Patani, Naratiwat, and also Yala province, and then also four districts in Songkhla province in Thailand. So I just share information. This area is still ongoing conflict. Is many bomb and many abuse, many attack, and then also last time 2 weeks ago, rebel attacking attacking Malay and also Thailand border, because they won't separate from they won't get independent from the Thailand. This area this area is ethnic Malay with the Islam as the majority. The region was the center of the Langkasuka Empire. The present Patani still maintains some ruin of the ancient town in the Ampo Yarang. So yeah, then this is a few literature about the Malay Patani Kingdom before Thailand occupy their land after English. Then okay. So we talk first about Historia from the Langkasuka Empire to Patani Sultanate. So basically, is Langkasuka Empire is the Buddhist empire. Then changed to Islam is the first. They are during the first king of Patani converted to Islam, wearing the title of the Sultan Ismail Shah Fil Alami. And then the unique thing about the Patani is they have the four king for the woman king, or we say sultanah. So sultanah purple, green king, blue king, and also yellow king is all the woman. Then beginning of the conflict. So beginning in conflict is basically from the 70 when the Malay Kingdom Patani was it by Siamese government. Siamese is sekarang Thailand lah. Then after maybe pass. Then but Patani become part of the Thailand 100% under Thailand occupation is after Siamese Anglo Treaty in October 1960 between Kingdom of Thailand, British, and also Unfederated Malay State. So basically, it's a Patani. Basically, it's a Patani Malay ethnic. Is similar with the Malaysia, but because British and also Thailand separate their land, so one land is under Thailand and also one land is under British, and now we recognize under British dia tuh jadi Malaysia, become Malaysia. Then is the cradle. Ini juga buku bagus. Is about the how the Malay Kingdom become a Thai province after Anglo-Siamese Treaty. Okay, in Indonesia, a lot of Patani students they get scholarship and also they study in Islamic State University in Indonesia, including also including also National University in Indonesia also. Then, but the unique thing about them is they never recognize themselves as part of the Thailand. They said, I am Malay, but I'm not Thai, because their ethnic is very different. Then according to Ruslam Sarasing, is the leader of the youth in Patani, relation between ethnic Malay who are predominantly Muslim and the Thais were predominantly Buddhist is always tension, because one party feel colonized by other. Then also by my SV Christopher M. Jules said Patani Malay construct their identity based on ethno-nationalism, ethno-religious, and also resistant awareness toward Thailand occupation. It's same with a student from Aceh and also from the Papua. Still now they said, yeah, they feel resistant to Indonesian government. Like sense unbelonging is common phenomena among the Patani Malay youth. According to Kohler, sense of unbelonging is complicated model because Scramber, Semaka, and Austin said is because distribution of power in group or society amidst unstable tension, and also stereotyping and hatred is common problem among the two ethnic group. Then assessing ethnic relation among the Patani Malay student university. So basically our research is concerned with the Patani Malay student who study in Patani, not in Indonesia, because I know it's a lot of Patani student is study and also working in Indonesia. It look like they said Indonesia is become their second home, but we analyze Patani Malay student who study in Thailand. So we took 350 students from 3 universities in southern Thailand, like PSU Patani, Pring Songkla University, Yala Rajabat in Yala, and also Narawadis University in Narathiwat. So basically, is 100% student is a Muslim. Then according to according to Fagan and also Joe Fagan, perception among ethnic, because we analyze perception, so we took a theory from the Fagan and also Joe Fagan. They said perception among ethnic is ditentukan oleh religion, security, education, path appearance, social interaction, and also social and inequality, economic inequality. Then genders, we took this is our last data I get from Carol, basically. Then this is our analysis. So ethnic fraud is become the main factor. They said we are Malay, so you are Thai Buddhist, you are kafir, you are the infidel, you are occupy their land. So it's a fraud. It is ethno religious myth with the ethno nationalism. So because they feel it's not only their land, but also their culture occupied by Thailand people. They not only had Thailand government, but also had all the Buddhist people in this area. Then also religion. Of course, they are different between Thai Buddhist, they said infidel, and also Malay Muslim. And security, because 100% army in Thailand is from Thai. From Thai, and also education, past experience, they have a lot of conflict, the bitter experience, and also social interaction, have the gap between them when they interact as other, because ethnic Malay is they speak the Melayu, but in Thailand they just speak Thailand, they don't understand Melayu. Then even for the king now, they said the all Malay people in Thailand is must speaking Thai, but they don't want speaking Thai because they said I'm not Thai. Even though many Patani people can speaking Thai, but they're not. But they said it's not our language. Our language is Melayu. Then also economic gap between Thai Buddhist community. They have the good economy, but not for the Malay. So we analyze youth generation still aware about the ethnic relation, and our conclusion is ethnic relation is closely related to social tolerance, but in our research we find stereotyping and racial prejudice is higher. Then it's not I mean in the conflict zone, context stereotyping and hatred greater than the positive relationship. I think we can take this relation also to Papua and also maybe to Aceh. How the Papua people and also Acehnese interact with the maybe like orang dari Jawa, orang dari Minang. Jadi mereka nganggap kayak terancam kan. The finding indicated that perception toward ethnic relation among Patani Malay students still trapped with stereotyping and hatred because they believe not only Thai government occupy their land but also Thai Buddhists. So it set block mind in curbing unity and peace in the deep south of Thailand. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's very actually it's very interesting paper. Yeah, it's about establishing peace. Yeah, among two tribes. Yeah, between the Patani and the Malay, and this actually springs up some questions. Yeah, really ethnics cannot be unified. Yeah, what is wrong with the differences in ethnics? Yeah, what actually causes this unpeace in among people? Because if we talk about the religions, I am sure even the Buddhists are very peace-loving people. The Muslims are also peace-loving people. But when it is amalgamated with the spirituality, with nationalism, how come these two different tribes cannot be united? And I actually hope that I can see that in your paper, it can be elaborated, the reasons why it cannot be collaborated. In Indonesia, event, yeah, we do have some events where different tribes actually have struggles to actually to be united. For example, we could say what happened in Sulawesi, what happened in Kalimantan about the Daya and the Madura people. So it is very interesting to actually explore what happened, what are the clashes, and what are the gap that we can enter to actually bring peace to differences. Okay, I would like to open question and answer sessions because I believe we have actually covered all the presenters. So I would like to invite any of you who would like to ask any questions by raising your hands, or maybe if you do not have enough confidence, you can write your questions in the chat box. Okay, please, Dr. Yogi, would you like to add something, because it's about tribes differences. You do have also that in Nepal, yeah, tribe differences and tribe struggles.
Thank you, madam. I would like to add my observation and experiences I had so far regarding this paper about the tribal conflict. In 2004 and 5, I had Sri Lankan conflict, madam. The Liberation Tiger of Tamil, 11, LTTE, and Sri Lanka's government, Sinhalese Buddhist on the south. More than 100,000 were killed there in the conflict. And in my own country, Nepal, then in 1996, the Maoist group started armed conflict. And according to official data, 17,000 people were killed, and many more were wounded and leave the village. They were deported from the village. So there are two sides to be responsible for controlling this kind of activities. The first is the state, second is the communal harmony. The state keep on watching, process their intelligence system, their security system, that country only in the inner strength of society and every individual citizen. So to strengthen individuals' inner strength, there should not be discriminate between tribes and between numbers, between religions, between interests, between business. So the state should be capable to handle such issues. If the state is weak, then the issue becomes a magnet to attract all outside interest. And when the people see the blood of their relatives, of their villagers, and then the situation get escalated. So from Thailand, Malaysia, or Indonesia, the example says that the history during colonial time was not so fortunate. So as Penele managed to visit Sukarno Center in Surabaya, It was really a happy moment that leaders are born in every country, and then only people should be able to choose vote and select the correct leadership, and the policy should be correct. And I don't know how many universities are in Malaysia, Indonesia, but in policy making, in decision making, there should be a system of providing the opportunity in a higher level to the best of the brightest people and chosen from the university. In my own country, Nepal, there is a conflict that university scholars, the best of the brightest peoples, genius people, have started going to abroad. They don't see any opportunity within the country. They go to Australia, they go to America, they go to other country. And even within the country, intellectual society and academia is a little bit frustrated. So we should learn from others' story and example from the other countries. And because the country today, for example, I've been taking my key reference to Indonesia, that Indonesia doesn't only those who are today, the young generation. Indonesia should be handled very safely to the future generations, and the old people should be handled very carefully by the young generation, their daughters, in-laws, etc., etc. So it is intergeneration accountability to handle the safe, prosperous country to the succeeding generation. This is my observation, madam. Thank you very much for your kind opportunity, and everybody for their patience listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yogi. Yeah, so we do hope that what we have discussed today, the paper presentations, a very interesting paper presentation, and especially selected papers that we have listened today can be revised soon, and we could really enjoy their publication soon in October 2022 edition. And I would like also to invite others who have similar kind of papers that have interest in religion and culture. Please send your papers to ijrax.rumahperdana.or.id. And we thank everyone who have participated in this section. And thank you very much for listening. And I give back to the session to the MC Ananggari. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for Ms. Arika Mayanti for the presentation. For information, because we just got information from our guest lecturer, Dr. Muhammad Shukri Hanafi, can't join for later. So hopefully Mr. Dr. Muhammad Shukri Hanafi can join in the future agenda. And for your information, don't forget to follow our next agenda. Relawan Riset Kediri, Relawan Riset Semarang, and Relawan Riset Makassar. And of course, on 24 November, we have International Conference of Religious and Cultural Sciences. We'll invite Dr. Aida Si, Business Management Department, School of Business, Birmingham State College at SUNY Birmingham, New York, USA. So this the end of today's guest lecture. Thank you for all of participants who already attend from the beginning until the end. See you in the next agenda. So before we close our agenda, let's pray based on our personal belief. Pray begin. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
And see you everyone
thank
in the
you.
next agenda.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Itu di luar pakai.